Welcome to a special edition of Stewart Squared, our regular weekly podcast on all things AI and technology. This is a special edition, however, celebrating and getting more detail about how my son, the vibe coder, Stewart Alsop III, vibe coded an entire podcast recording application. Um, and I'm going to interview him. So I'll just get right into it. So you've been complaining about Riverside.fm, which we've been using for some time now.
Yeah.
The thing that put you over the top was that they started charging for live streaming.
So no, $1,000 for API, and I don't quote me on it. It's a number from like a year and a half ago of $1,000 for a API access. The reason why API access is important is because immediately after the show, myself for a long time, and then Maria would have to go through and do all this stuff in the background in order to make it good, which is all like no shame on Riverside. They come from the editing world, the movie documentary world, so they know about all the little things that are important to do post-production. But I wanted the API access, and then the follow-up sort of, I take it sensitively that they would make the UI, they would change the UI. And I didn't like a lot. My episodes would get lost. Maria would get lost in the episode. I actually started talking to the CEO about a year and a half ago, trying to share some of, and they were actually very good on what they're thinking through and everything. But then it diverged pretty drastically. That was another thing. And then they took away the streaming access from for our show. We were streaming on LinkedIn.
You're talking about
live streaming. Yep.
We're streaming now anyway. We're not live.
Yep.
And I just watched a video review of Riverside, and so this is one of the issues: is they're doing it the same way for everybody. And then the reviewer mentioned that he does commercials and other kinds of video editing. So for him, it was, he's like, I guess he's using Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, they do everything.
So there's a kind of crossover between different applications, and Riverside's trying to expand its marketplace. So I understand it. They've raised venture capital. They have to grow the business to satisfy their investment. So they started out as one thing, and then they're expanding. So it's not really relevant to what we're doing, whether it's live streaming or recorded streaming. When you decided to vibe code your own video podcast, how long ago was that?
I got the idea as soon as we started paying for Riverside, and actually told them about it in that meeting. And I did a meeting with the business guy. That was the fun part, is that I learned at Invisible Technologies that you can just like have a conversation with people who build software, and you don't need to buy it up front or anything like that. And then so yeah, I had a meeting with them, and I didn't explicitly say that. And got the idea, and then when it became serious was about 3 weeks ago. I've been vibe coding since the very beginning. As soon as ChatGPT released, I tried to get it to code in the Urbit language of Hoon and Knock, and it miserably failed. And I've just been trying for 2 years to try to build just tiny utilities and little things to prove it was possible. And then let me show you this. Actually, I don't want to show you because now I have to think about cybersecurity, which is an interesting thing as well. So
check that up later. But now I'm trying to get the decision process. So you started about 3 weeks ago, but by 3 weeks ago, you had learned a lot about vibe coding, and we're not using ChatGPT anymore. You're now using Claude and Claude Code.
Yeah, basically, I'll share my whole architecture of how I'm doing this. So I'm just relying on Claude Code. So I paid the $200 USD after getting a little taste from a friend. And at first I was for $100 USD, got the taste for the $200 USD, kept on getting limited on the API rate, and then it started to work. And that probably happened about 1 or 2 months ago, and it just works. It just works as long as I am communicating at a very, very detailed level, which I cannot do because this is all like this technology is all of technology that I'm trying to understand. And it's just basically going through it. So my architecture is that I have Claude Desktop on my computer. And then that's my chat interface. And then I have 3 planning agents on there for each of the 3 pieces of software that I've built right now. One is this recording software we're using. The other one is the knowledge management app that has, that's the first one where I got sort of confidence on the reverse engineering of a project. And so then, and I've had that idea for 10 years. And so I built that one, got confidence. It's a mess. It's a total mess. And then I've got CW Studios, which is this one. And then I've got another one, which is specifically built for Maria to do post-production. And then post-production will be very interesting. This is great news for you too. So I just downloaded all of our episodes from the RSS feed for both Stewart Squared and Crazy Wisdom and my Spanish Crazy Wisdom. And I just ran them through a transcript generator, which cost me 150 USD. The first quote for a different API was 300 USD, but I figured out 150 USD one. So I got the whole catalog, which is a big deal. That is the most I've ever spent on an API.
Give me control back here. So if you're watching this, and I'm hoping that I will publish this video with my newsletter, this is titled Crazy Wisdom Studio. So Stewart's been podcasting under the Crazy Wisdom name for years, and has hundreds of episodes, and started podcasting under Crazy Wisdom Spanish as well. And you need to know that he keeps referring to USD because he's living in Buenos Aires and he has to distinguish which currency he's dealing in. Okay, so that's all context. Now, I've seen from our new use of this software that you've made that you preserve the architecture of podcasting, which is that each of our streams are recorded locally in order to preserve quality, even if the connection gets unstable. That seems pretty sophisticated. But you just told Claude that's what you want. You want an application that records the streams individually and then merges them into a recorded and streamable file. Is that right?
So the Zoom did it first. That's where I first learned that you could do it. So I had to go into these crazy settings for Zoom, talk about nightmare software, to find the specific setting. And I would have to tell people to do that if they're using their Zoom or anything like that, which does record all audio locally. The major innovation that Riverside did was they did all that for video as well, because we are going to start moving into higher production. Higher production means like a DSLR camera. It also means I'm going to go on a walk tomorrow with my friend in the park. And that's just going to be an audio podcast, but I have to, because that's an edge case that I constantly run into. So this is something that's been on my mind for a really long time. And then Riverside did it the best. Descript is another one who's kind of in this same sort of territory, which I was paying for a long time. Loom is another related one. And so I'm literally just going to go stack by stack because I just don't trust anybody in the Web 2.0 environment anymore. And I think I have good reason for that. But yeah.
Okay. So now we have to get you to state publicly what your programming skills are. And I happen to know they're about the same as mine, which is a line of code. Don't even know what a line of code is supposed to look like, although I've looked at screens with lines of code on it and know it's different per language. But can you write code?
No. I can't write a line of code. I can't. I've probably done the hello world, and I tried it many times.
Yeah, I've tried.
No, sorry, I did learn how to write code. I learned how to copy code. So I learned how to like memorize code. This goes into the knowledge management stuff back in 2015, and I just hated it. So like I couldn't think about what all the symbols mean, and like it was just not a linguist, right? And then the language model comes in, and now it's like the linguist has the upper hand.
Care of the business. So there's a bunch of concepts about application development that people who vibe code won't necessarily understand, like maintaining the code, fixing bugs, providing cybersecurity, providing security so that people don't hack the rest of your computer, et cetera, et cetera. Did you know all this? or have you had to learn about it while you've been producing software through vibe coding?
So the security one is the big one, and I don't think I should talk about what I do for
You
that
don't have
one.
to give details. It's just
Yeah.
more like I'm trying to understand your ability to understand software development,
Um,
having started vibe coding.
and so I actually did a great prompt structure for this one 2 days ago. Security is a big one. It's the biggest one. It's the one I think about all the time because I've seen so many vibe coders who have done it, and they go on and they say, "Oh, look at the app," and then they just get swarmed. And I figured out a very interesting one, which is the DNS. So that they did this to the OpenClaw founder, where he had publicly once he got the cease and desist letter from Anthropic, he had publicly talked about the domains that he's going to buy, and then so their crypto bros were waiting for him, and so as soon as he hit some random thing in the security thing, so that's the security. That one, I have my cybersecurity friends. I basically have like 15 mentors right now in the AI Whisperers group who we're all mentoring each other. And of those, I have two main ones. And one of my friends is he does the cybersecurity stuff. He teaches me about it. And the AI itself knows a lot about cybersecurity. So if you can do an inquiry into how to make it the most secure, it will do it. But you have to try to get into this world.
So here's a key question. Do you know what a pen test is?
I do know what a pen test. This is the cybersecurity. So he's mostly, my friend is a defense guy, and he does it for this cool company. And so he knows how to do defense. I'm sure the offense people. I know I have something called fail to ban on my server, which means, and I've now since greatly increased it from just the fail to ban. Fail to ban basically tracks IP addresses, because as soon as you put a server live on the internet, you're going to get 8,000 to 10,000 within the first day of just automated attacks from different servers.
So a pen test for the viewer is penetration testing. It's a standard concept in cybersecurity, which is you try to break your own security.
That's a good idea.
So you hire, usually in a company, you hire someone to pen test your security to certify that it is secure, because a lot of cybersecurity is involved in your liability, not just making the application secure. Anyway, so don't go too many side trips here, because I'm really focused on this. I am writing a newsletter, and I'm going to publish this recording of this in my newsletter, because I'm writing a newsletter edition called "My Son, the Vibe Coder." Because I'm impressed.
It's crazy. It's getting crazy. I don't know how to handle it really.
So, but it's interesting to me because you're way ahead of me, right?
Yeah.
I understand intellectually what's going on. Boris Cherney wrote code, and this dude wrote OpenClaw, and there's like this massive change going on day by day in how engineers make code, and anybody who's paying attention has read everything about it, like we have. But you just did it, and I'm going like, holy crap! If you could do it, because you and I are at the similar level.
Yeah, we have the same issue.
Can't write a lot of code, but you just generated a lot of code that makes this app that we're using to record a video interview. And so that's what I'm doing, just so everybody knows. And I'm saying this later in the recording because I'm asking you to read my newsletter first, not watch the video until you understand what we're doing.
I like that.
So going forward, you're much younger than I am, and you have like decades to deal with this. Do you end up thinking that you will be a professional application developer and make commercial applications?
No, not in the current system. This gets into my last employment, which convinced me never to do employment again, never to do full-time employment again.
Key feature of my son. Does not people.
I just like
his grandfather. So
wait, what?
My father said, essentially, he was always a contractor, so he's never actually worked for anybody. He and my uncle wrote a syndicated column. That meant they were independent contractors. Then he wrote for Saturday Evening Post and the Newsweek, and he was paid as a contractor, never as an employee. And he said, I'm trying to remember the phrase, but it's just something like always be able to give him the finger.
Yes.
Being
Optionality.
well,
So that's
I've
right.
had
Yeah.
but that was not a happy part of my life. My happy part of my life is after I started my own business and never ended
Yeah.
up working for anybody else. So you've inherited that gene.
Yeah. Apparently. And I do like, I am working for other people. I don't know if we probably haven't talked about this in a while, but I have 4 different services that I do. I do full turnkey podcast for people, for both founders and investors. I do private podcasts for a specific type of founder. I do vibe coding teaching where I teach people these skills. That's the one that I have the most fun with. And then I have recruiting where I'm finding Argentine developers to work for American companies.
So if you happen to
And
be in Buenos Aires, go check out AI Whispers because I think you started this, or maybe you started with some other people, but this is a group that gets together once a week and talk about what's going on, and probably mostly about vibe coding now, but
well,
what's going on in AI.
we don't meet any other week because I was getting burnt out. Now my attention is on vibe coding every day. So this is what we're teaching now, is how to do this stuff. And this is still a block I've got on this one. So we're teaching people how to build all this random stuff. This one I got blocked on. I have to go back to it. But right now, this stuff is way easier because the software. So this I'm going to put Rust on this. So I haven't put Rust on any of these things yet. But I will put Rust on. And so right now it's in C++. The cool thing about C++ is that you can, all of them work with C++, but C++ is it has no garbage collection. I still don't know what that means. This is an important part for your thing.
Okay, I can explain that when we do.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. But I can use the word. That's the most important for vibe coding, is you don't fully know what it is, but you can kind of use it.
So I was just looking up what Rust stands for because, as usual, it's an acronym, and I can't remember what it is, but it is an acronym. RUST, for those who are trying to listen to this. Anyway, that's back to what we do usually. I'm actually going to close it there because we've been recording for over 15 minutes, and I want to publish this now. So, can I have a URL the moment you stop the recording that allows me to publish the URL to this?
That is the goal. So what you just said is the goal, not only to publish it, but for you as the guest to have the raw files, the transcripts, and a link. The problem I'm running into is that I need to build an app in the iOS. I found out on Google it's going to be pretty easy, but on the iOS, I need to build an app that people need to download, which I don't want to do. But that's what I have to do in order to allow them to listen to the podcast in the way that they are traditionally listening to podcasts through Spotify and all the other ones. That is the overarching goal. It is not here yet, but
you need to publish to those services, including YouTube.
I figured out that step last night with Transistor. But yes, no, I'll have the recording to you via Dropbox in 5 minutes.
So thank you very much for sharing your vibe coding life. And look up both Crazy Wisdom and Stewart Squared podcasts on YouTube or Spotify or other services. And thank you for listening.
And we're going to have a website soon too.